Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts, presented by LeBear's Casino. Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Kreis and TK joining us in his Rougarou shirt over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge, where, Tremonti's, he's going to tell you about the meat sale later this week, but also with football season. I mean, it is tailgate special. I mean, they are the place to go to get all your meats and seafood and everything for that. I'm in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Don't forget September 10th, we will announce the 2026 Hall of Fame class. You can check it out at lasportshall.com as well as on our social media. Give us a follow on all the platforms there. And of course, we're presented by LeBear's Casino, where it's going to be rocking and rolling this Friday night. Friday night is Titan Combat Championship MMA fighting for the second time ever. The Casey McKenzie promoter production going to be putting on a great event this coming Friday night. If there's tickets left, get them at Ticketmaster.com, or you can get them at the box office over at LeBear's. But it will sell out. It did last time. It's a MMA in the event center, mixed martial arts. I think he's got 12 fights on the books starting around 7 o'clock. So go get your tickets and go check it out. Going to be a great event. All right, TK. Big news in locally. Yesterday, Saints were the last team to announce who their starting quarterback's going to be this year.
Yeah, and as we suspected, and many others did as well, Spencer Rattler, who's 0-6 as a starter, beats out Tyler Shuck for the starting job, announced yesterday by Coach Kellen Moore. He'll be the guy when they play the Cardinals a week from Sunday. 6-point underdogs in the Dome or the Saints. But they, like the rest of the NFL, got out of 53 players yesterday. And Jake Haener, not with the Saints anymore. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, two-time Super Bowl champion, LSU Tiger, didn't make the cut. Now, the Saints and the rest of the NFL teams can start adding guys to their practice squads today. A couple hours from now, you can have 16. There's a way you can get a 17th player. I forget the specifics on that. So you're going to see a lot of guys that got cut yesterday going to end up on practice squads across the league. And then, the practice squad is important. And I heard an interview yesterday. If you're a practice squad player, the only thing that's really different for you is your paycheck. Okay, they still treat you the same. You got access to everything that Saints facilities offer, from the training room to the weight room to practice. You do everything like the 53 guys. Your paycheck's different on Tuesday, so that's
And
the
you
big
don't dress
difference there.
on Sunday.
Right, you wear sweats, so you dress in with the NFL issued gear for that. So I don't know if they bring Haener back just like a just in case thing and put him on the practice squad, because he does have knowledge of the system. So I don't know. You go get somebody. I don't know. We'll have to see how the Saints want to play that.
Well, I mean, Haener was there last year, so that knowledge of the system goes out the window because you got a new coaching staff. I would think they would go in a different direction, Tommy. I'd be shocked if the Saints ended up bringing Haener back. By now, they know there's no chance that guy's going to be a quarterback for. I mean, it's not like if you're going to go young, inexperienced quarterback, you got two of those guys already, and obviously Haener's not good enough to beat them. So go take a shot with somebody else, somebody different that you might think has some talent that's overlooked, or maybe a veteran that you can convince to join you. The other news of the league that everyone's talking about, Shadur Sanders. He did make the 53-man roster for the Cleveland Browns, which was, I guess, a little bit of a surprise based on the fact that they did trade Kenny Pickett. The Browns traded a veteran quarterback in Kenny Pickett who had some good moments with the Steelers. They traded him to the Raiders for a to be determined draft pick. So they got some value there. He was really the only quarterback that they could trade and get something for out of the ones that they had. They were not going to get rid of Gabriel, and obviously with Shadanders being a fifth-round pick who played one game good, one game bad, there's no value there for him. So they went ahead and kept three quarterbacks on their 53-man roster, which one Sanders made the team. His brother Shiloh did not. His brother Shiloh got released by the Bucks. We'll see if his brother gets picked up on a practice squad somewhere. But a good week and a bad week for the Sanders household.
Yeah, certainly was. And Dylan Gabriel's listed as the backup, according to the coach in Cleveland. So Sanders will be the inactive, but could be active. He'll wear a uniform because if there's the NFL rule now, if the first two quarterbacks have a notable injury, documented injury, then the third guy could come in. But that's the way it stands now, and they'll proceed with Flacco, and we'll see what happens and how the rest of that story unfolds.
I would think that the Browns are going to start with Flacco, the veteran, to give themselves a chance to be competitive. But much like the New Orleans Saints, nothing's really expected of the Cleveland Browns. And I could see a scenario, Tommy, to where if this thing goes off the rails, which it should, and you're staring down the barrel of a 2-6 team or something like that, at that point, what are we doing with Flacco? You know, he's not going to be your quarterback of the future. He can get you out the gate, maybe teach the young guys, how to do it a little bit. But at some point, I would assume if Gabriel's healthy, they'll turn it over to him and let him cut his teeth on a bad team the second half of the year.
I would agree with that. I mean, they think, if he beat out Sanders, he's the next guy up, and Flacco's not the guy long term. So, and the Browns, like the Saints, not expected to win a lot of football games this year. And it's a long season. I still think the Saints have a chance to beat the Cardinals in the dome because of the juice and home opener and all that stuff. And Cardinals aren't necessarily great, but we'll see how it goes. And it'll be a long season, 17 games over what, 18, 19 weeks. You're going to be interested.
Let me know, Tommy, if you find it better than minus 165. I think I got minus 160 or minus 165 on over under Saints 5.5. So if you can find a better line than that, let me know.
I can do that.
I already put a pretty good bit on under 5.5 for the Saints at minus 160 or 165. Looking for a better line if someone knows of it.
All right. And speaking of already putting it down, this morning I went under 57.5 on LSU Clemson. With me, I'm a small better, but I went big for me with the
Right.
under 57.5. Now I got a couple of those friendly wagers with some friends where we bet on the game, a couple of bar tabs or lunch or dinner, something like that. One guy actually bet $50 because he gave me Clemson straight up. He didn't want no points, so I had to do that for value. But so we'll see, man. It's going to be fun. But like you said earlier, LeBear's Casino at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. You can get out there and bet anything and everything, whether it's LSU, SEC, Power Four, whatever it might be. They're waiting for you this weekend at LeBear's.
The the game has been sitting there right on that 56.5 to 57.5 number for this Saturday, and it's been pretty solidly on 57.5 for a long time. And the more that I talk to people with the team, I was up last night up in Natchitoches yesterday at a little Tigers group, and they had they had some LSU officials that were there. And the more you hear people talk about this team, the more I want to say optimistic they are, but you got to be careful with that, right? Like it's August and everybody's optimistic in August. Even the Saints think they might win a few games, right? I mean, everybody's optimistic in August. So you got to overcome that just optimism that naturally creeps in when you see guys working hard, and especially in LSU's case, they're relatively healthy. So there's no giant they're starting quarterback, they're starting running back, they're starting left tackles out for the year. Like there's none of that going on. So because of that, there's optimism galore. But the big we won't know till we know is that offensive line. And one of the strengths of Clemson's is their defensive line. On paper, that doesn't make sense. On paper, you got two quarterbacks for both teams that are about kind of what and what for the most part. At least that's the expectation going into the season. They're both top 10 picks. They're both Heisman Trophy candidates. But the offensive line for LSU is inexperienced and brand new and young versus a defensive line of Clemson that's a veteran group who's got some really good NFL talent. So will LSU's offensive line overachieve? That's what we don't know and won't know till we watch the game. And we'll say this, we're all sad that LSU lost 4 of their 5 offensive linemen from last year that were all drafted, but they had 2-3 games where they were handled, and an offensive line didn't show up, so you could have that same offensive line and still have the same problems against Clemson. That's the scary thing.
Well, in LSU, they've said they're going to play 7 or 8 offensive linemen. That's a scary thing, too, because, Todd McClure, NFL center for the Falcons for 13 years, will tell you the offensive line There's got to be a cohesive unit. When they make their line calls and blocking calls, depending on what the defense is showing or not showing, you got to have it's all got to be in sync, especially against a defensive line like Clemson's. So the line of scrimmage is always important in football. I don't care what age level you're talking about. It'll be very important this Saturday night. If the LSU offensive line can do well, I don't mean do great, and all that. If they can do well, give Nussmeier time, let Durham and others run the football. That's what they're going to have to have. If they can't control the line of scrimmage, it could be a long night for LSU.
Yeah, I mean, I I just I think that's why we like you, me, Hunter McCann on Sports Shorts, all like the 50 under 57.5 so much is because we do believe, especially the first game of the year. First game of the year, you don't normally break out all the tricks, every trick play, you kind of want to, get a little feel, see how the game goes. Not to mention, you're on the road. I'm talking about from an LSU perspective. You're on the road. You're going to play it a little bit more close to the vest potentially over there. Game one of the season. You want to give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter, so to speak. So I don't know. I don't want to say conservative play calling, but I think you got to kind of see how your team's going to react in certain circumstances, particularly on offense. And you got to try a few things, see where the soft spots are, see how your team responds to getting punched in the face. And so that said, I do think it'll be, I don't know, 24-21 kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I made the comment. I mean, I think the first quarter will be like a pillow fight. They're going to feel each other out and throw a little soft punch here, soft punch there, and then of course the game of adjustments kicks in full speed after the first series for each team. They're going to decide that hey, we got to make this adjustment, we got to make that adjustment because it happens fast when you're on the sidelines and got to make decisions quickly.
All right, so the LSU Tigers will take off Friday afternoon. They'll head to Clemson, do a little walkthrough in the stadium Friday night, and then, of course, the big thing is, how do you fill the time and keep the guys? I'm sure they'll watch a little College Game Day, which will be for the last time ever up at Ohio State. Lee Corso putting on the headgear for the final time. He started off the whole headgear thing, putting on the Buckeye head. Let's see what he does. Does he go Longhorn? Does he go Buckeye? I don't know. But we do know this: as soon as the College Game Day is over, Herb Street's going to jump on a plane. He's going to fly to Clemson. He and Chris Fowler will be on the call over in Clemson for the game. I don't know if you've watched any of the ESPN sort of tributes to Lee Corso over the last week or two. They've been fantastic. Definitely tear jerkers if you got a little of that in you. But for the final time, and Herb Street's going to cry like a baby because he always does, and especially at his home stadium, his guy. I mean, Lee Corso's like a dad, father figure type to him. It's going to be pretty cool. I expect him to put the Ohio State Buckeye on his head.
I think it'd be a nice bet. I think. And here's the thing: I like Chris Fowler's quote. It was short and sweet. He said, "He is one of one. There'll be never be another Lee Corso. He's one of one." I thought that was well put, short, simple, and sweet by Fowler, because there's not going to be another Lee Corso, and nobody's going to be putting on headgear at least for a year or two because you can't do that right away out of respect. And find your own stick. Lee Corso found his. So whoever is going to be up there needs to find their own thing, whatever that may be. And but it'll be a special morning for ESPN, for Lee Corso, and for the the many fans that he has around the country and what he's meant to college football. Primarily, don't forget he was a player, he was a coach, he was a head coach at the Indiana Hoosiers at one time. So he's done other things, but he's made his mark with the headgear. And not so fast, my friend, whatever else he says.
And he worked for Number Two Pencil. People always wonder why he always had that pencil in his hand. He actually was a salesman, and sales manager for Number Two Pencil. And by the way, he retired from Number Two at the right time, right? Because nobody uses pencils anymore.
Yeah, Ronnie, we have a few pencils at school used for our score table. With volleyball and basketball and all, but that's the only time I ever see pencils. I have a box of them in my office over there at Most Blessed Sacrament. So if you ever need a pencil, Ron, I can loan you one.
Yeah, appreciate it. The answer's no. I don't need one. We got a few more days to congratulate the Baton Rouge Rougarou. We made a decision September 1. We're turning the page to the 2026 team, but we had a really cool video that we put out on Tuesday, so folks can go to our social media. Go check out the Baton Rouge Rougarou on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and check out the final game. Kind of sort of a little mini recap with Tommy Christ and Jeff Palermo on the call. Really, really cool. You'll enjoy it. Get you your last little look at the Rougarou until next year.
And I want to give a shout out to Chris Lecoq, who did a fabulous job editing that. I know he does a lot of work for the Hall of Fame, LPB, but does work for the Rougarou. You know, I hired him at Pelican Sports TV many years ago. So I've watched his career blossom from when he had like 25 questions an hour to now people ask him questions, you know. So he did a super job. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the video. So, you know, we'll see.
All right, TK. We're expecting the Ryder Cup today. I'm looking forward to finding out what that team is going to be. We know Bryson DeChambeau will be on there from the Live Tour, but outside of him, no one's expected from the Live Tour. Gun to the head, does Sam Burns make it?
Well, I hope he does. It's going to be very close, and I've read a lot of stuff. I don't think Keegan Bradley's going to pick himself. There was some conversation about that, but I hope Sam Burns. The 6 wild card picks on the 12-man team. Beth Page Black, of course, that's late September. Now we'll be all over football, but we will talk Ryder Cup here on Sports Shorts Daily and Sports Shorts Radio. So, gun to the head, I'm going to say Burns doesn't make it. But for me, and for the fact that he's an LSU guy and a good guy, I hope he makes it.
I must say no, just because I think it's a little too much too late. He played well lately.
Tied 7th in the Tour Championship. I mean, that's
Yeah,
a top 10 if you want to call. It's a T7, but it's a top 10 finish in the record books.
yeah. I mean, I must say no. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. I just, I'll say this. I don't know what Keegan Bradley values. It's sort of like the selection committee for the playoffs or NCAA tournament or baseball or whatever. Do you value the body of work? Do you value January to September, or do you value the last 30 days, that type of thing, the last 45 days? Do you value the last 2, 3 tournaments and sort of erase the first 6 months, or what? And that, I don't know. I don't know what Keegan Bradley thinks as captain and what he's maybe seen over the years. If you go with what have you done for me lately, he's on the team. If you go for, hey, I'm going to reward the guys that have been the most consistent from January to now, then he doesn't make the team. So we'll find out here today. It's an exciting time, and I look forward to watching the Netflix, documentary behind the scenes that'll inevitably show and recap this next year when they'll recap the selection process, the tournament, and all that, because they did a great job with the Paris one as well. What else we got, Tommy?
Well, just Tulane also playing this Saturday. They're 5.5-point favorite. Some people thinking they could be that group of 5 team that sneaks into the playoff. Coach Sumrall's done a good job. They, like LSU, a lot of transfer guys. There'll be a lot of running the new guys out. But they're at home Saturday for their opening 5.5-point favorite over Northwestern from the Big Ten, not the Demons from Natchitoches. So, other than that, Ronnie, we got everybody's waiting for LSU Clemson. That's the talk of the town. Everywhere you go, who's going to watch it? Where are you going to be? Who your friends are going to be with? So.
By the way, Tommy, tickets are expensive for this game. It's not as big a stadium as LSU. The Death Valley Junior is just exactly that when it comes to seats. And you're staring down the barrel of a lower bowl ticket, a decent lower bowl ticket being at least $500 with fees. And if you want to be between the 20s, you're looking at 600 plus. That is an expensive ticket, but like I said, it's because they don't have 100,000 seats like Tiger Stadium does. But all right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here.
Well, the big meat sale this Friday. You name it, they got it on sale. You can load up your freezer. They got the boneless whole ribeyes. I'm looking at the sheet here. The whole beef strip loins, chuck roast for $6.99 a pound, whole beef tenderloins, wagyu ribeyes, French pork loins, crawfish tails will be on sale as well. The big old flyer here at Tremonti's, the one-day meat sale. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page. You'll see the sale. Sports Shorts Facebook. Myself, Tommy Christ, and we've all shared it a bunch. That'll be this Friday starting at 9 in the morning. You want to get here early and get your stuff at Tremonti's this Friday. We'll be back on the air Friday morning. I won't be here at Tremonti's. I'll be in Gulf Shores, Alabama, but we'll remind you about the meat sale that day. All right, and don't forget, go to brrugaroo.com, get some championship merchandise. Also, BR Rougarou on social media. Check out the video that recaps the championship game. It's about 4.5 minutes long. Won't take you real long to watch that whole thing. Like and share this show, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X. We appreciate that. Sports Shores Daily returns Friday morning. Have a great Wednesday, everyone.